Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 3, Chu Prefecture Lantern Festival. Chapter 22 166 Tianyi Sect, Huo Chengkan. 22nd of Volume 3. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Yuan Chao had sensed danger long ago. The enemy, who had been fleeing in their ship, had suddenly stopped to counterattack. 7 strange insects and the heavenly flame realm great spiritual master he had encountered before had also suddenly appeared. What puzzled him was why they thought such a force could hold back a 5th stage 5 seas realm expert like him. Soon, his confusion gradually turned into shock and unease. The 7 strange insects surrounding him didn't cultivate battle intent like human martial mystic cultivators, nor did they possess spiritual artifacts, powerful techniques, or combat intelligence. Yet their speed was terrifying, not much slower than his own. Though they only knew how to attack with their razor-sharp wings, the sheer force of each collision, amplified by their incredible speed, was comparable to a full power strike from a 3rd realm 5 seas realm martial mystic cultivator. If he were facing only one, Yuan Chao could simply release his battle intent to form a protective barrier. Even standing still, the phoenix-winged moth emperor wouldn't be able to harm him in the slightest. But now, there were 7 of them. It was like being besieged by 7 3rd realm 5 seas realm martial mystic cultivators. After enduring dozens of impacts, the 3 Zhongtal battle intent figure he had summoned began to show signs of tearing. He struck these insects over a dozen times, but it seemed he hadn't even scratched them. What terrifying strange insects. Even a martial mystic cultivator at the 4th stage of the 5 seas realm would find them extremely troublesome. No wonder their entry into the Fire Crow cavalry resulted in a one-sided slaughter. As Yuan Chao had just formed this thought, he sensed something and his gaze locked onto a talismanic rune hurtling towards him. The rune exploded, transforming into a 10-meter-long golden giant sword that slashed down. This is. Yuan Chao's lungs roared like thunder as spiritual chi surged forth. He swung his high-grade spiritual artifact battle spear, and bright crimson scriptures materialized along the shaft, causing the air to tremble. The spear shattered the giant sword, scattering golden light rain across the sea. He searched for the rune's source, his tiger-like eyes settling on Li Ling, who stood on the ship. He unleashed a tidal wave of spiritual chi from his mouth, sending the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, those incredibly annoying creatures, flying 10 meters away. Then, stepping on the water's surface, he charged towards the fishing boat. He had to kill the talisman master first. Li Ling's spiritual light rippled outwards in concentric circles as she simultaneously launched 5 golden talismanic runes. These transformed into 5 golden giant swords that slashed towards Yuan Chao in unison. Some swung horizontally, others cleaved straight down, while others plunged directly downwards. Yuan Chao knew the golden talisman sword's power, but he hadn't expected her to unleash 5 at once. His eyes widened in shock. It was too late to dodge or retreat, he had no choice but to unleash his strongest battle techniques. Eternal night without dawn. Yuan Chao swung his long spear toward the sky. The 30-foot-tall battle intent figure raised its head and unleashed a torrent of black light from its mouth. Boom. As if single-handedly withstanding the combined strikes of 5 4th stage of the 5 seas realm martial mystic cultivators, Yuan Chao couldn't withstand the force. His battle intent figure shattered, and his body plunged into the sea. Just days ago, Zhang Ning had reduced his right arm to bone, leaving it severely injured and nearly crippled. Only through precious medicine had flesh and blood regrown. Now, the skin of his entire right arm split open, blood gushing out, and bone-deep pain racked him. Yuan Chao had long abandoned any concern for his pride. Overwhelmed by a sense of impending doom, he was about to flee underwater when he saw 7 strange insects approaching from different directions. Their speed remained astonishing even in the water. Their bodies shimmered with iridescent colors, and their feathered wings were as sharp as blades. These 7 insects are too extraordinary. My speed is hampered in the water, and I can't fully unleash my battle techniques. I'm no match for them. With a splash, Yuan Chao broke the surface. Spiritual chi surged around him as he leapt several dozen feet into the air. His gaze darted around, and he saw that Huo Chengkan had already been killed. His heart pounded in terror, and he no longer dared to linger for a moment. He wanted only to escape, to flee as far away as possible. A bone-chilling war glaive, its blade as cold as ice, sliced through the air like a scythe, striking Yuan Chao's body. PFF'd. Yuan Chao's armor shattered, and a battle spear cleaved him in 2 at the waist. Blood gushed out like a waterfall. The 2 halves of his corpse plummeted into the sea. 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors swarmed forward. 2 of them raised high-grade spiritual artifact-level battle spears to prevent the corpse from sinking. The other 5 used their claws to strip Yuan Chao of his valuable possessions, carrying everything back to the fishing boat. They had tasted the millennial essence herb, and its exquisite flavor far surpassed that of even century-old precious herbs. After only a few hours, their life energy had been steadily increasing. However, Li Wei had warned them that millennial essence herb was incredibly expensive, and buying even one plant would bankrupt them. That was why the Little Seven were so eager to gather resources and treasures to earn silver coins. Li Wei returned to the fishing boat and gazed at the 4-jong-tall ghost shadow that had emerged from the ghost banner. With a single swing of its battle spear, it had slain Yuan Chao. Its combat prowess was terrifying. This ghost banner is no ordinary item. I wonder what grade of treasure it is. Both the ghost banner and the evil camel bell belonged to Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan's remnant soul had dared to attack Zhenhai Guanwu on the bronze warship. This suggested that, even if he hadn't been an ancient heavenly emperor in life, he must have been close. The treasures wielded by such a figure must be of unimaginable quality. It must be related to the purity of the spiritual qi. Li Wei thought, as a third-level spiritual qi cultivator, the ghost shadow I summoned was only 3 meters tall, with combat power equivalent to an ordinary 5th-level 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivator. Zhuang Yu should be a 4th-level spiritual qi cultivator, he continued. The ghost shadow she summoned reached 4 meters tall, naturally placing its combat power on a higher level. Even among cultivators at the 5th stage 5 Seas realm, some were still cultivating their 5th qi si, while others had already begun cultivating their 6th, the Wind Mansion. The former's battle intent was only 3 meters tall. The latter's battle intent could reach 4 meters. Undoubtedly, the 4-meter-tall ghost shadow that emerged from the ghost banner possessed combat power equivalent to a 6th sea martial mystic cultivator. Li Wei wondered what kind of terrifying combat power the ghost shadow summoned by a 5th-level or 6th-level spiritual qi cultivator could unleash when using the ghost banner. The ghost shadow returned to the ghost banner, and the nether mist dissipated. The sea surface returned to calm, reflecting the blue sky and white clouds. Li Wei removed his official robe and stored it in the evil camel bell. This attire was incredibly profound and powerful, but it consumed a vast amount of spiritual qi. Just using the space evasion technique had left him somewhat drained. He couldn't imagine what would happen if he unleashed the dragon soul power within. Would it instantly drain all his spiritual qi? They're catching up. Li Ling, ever vigilant, spotted a massive tower ship closing in from 8 or 9 miles behind. You and the 7 little ones take care of them. Make it quick. Since Huo Chengkan has shown himself, Chen Xuan and Sheng Qingyan must be nearby. They're far more formidable. Li Wei only glanced at the approaching ship before returning to his task. He stripped Huo Chengkan's corpse, meticulously cataloging the clothing and carefully examining the body's build and facial features, leaving no detail unobserved. The tower ship behind was pulled across the sea by a 20-meter-long Kai beast, slicing through the waves at high speed. Standing at the ship's bow were 2 5th stage 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivators from Tianyi sect who had followed Huo Chengkan, along with 3 5th stage 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivators from Night City who had followed Yuan Chao. They had seized this tower ship directly from the docks. His height and build are almost identical to mine. He's not a pure immortal physique, so disguising myself as him won't be too difficult. As Li Wei studied the corpse, he activated his disguise technique, adjusting his posture, physique, and facial features. Li Wei carefully recalled Huo Chengkan's skin condition, mannerisms, voice, tone, and mental bearing, meticulously analyzing each detail. The most crucial aspects of the disguise technique, beyond altering bones and spirits, were observation and contemplation. Time ticked by, minute by minute. Thud. Metal clattered onto the deck with a resounding clang. A phoenix-winged moth emperor, clutching a low-grade spiritual artifact spear, wobbled through the air, crossing several miles of ocean to return to the fishing boat. It dropped the spear onto the deck beside Li Wei. Are you done killing and collecting? Li Wei glanced back at the tower ship. Between the two vessels, 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors were bustling about, their tiny bodies shuttling back and forth, carrying heavy cargo. All 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivators on the giant ship had been slain. Li Ling, her legs trailing streaks of blue mist, walked back across the water. She hadn't had a chance to strike a single blow. Li Wei picked up the silver spear from the deck. With a flick of his wrist, the spear tip transformed into a silver point of light, landing against Li Ling's fair, jade-like chin. He adopted Huo Chengkan's voice and tone. Tianyi sect, Huo Chengkan. Li Ling froze for a moment, carefully examining Li Wei, who had completely transformed into Huo Chengkan. Her heart filled with suspicion. If Huo Chengkan's corpse hadn't been lying nearby, Li Wei would have passed for the real thing. Even I couldn't detect any flaws. As long as you avoid combat and don't expose your spiritual qi's unique properties, you should be able to deceive anyone, she said. Li Wei retracted his silver spear. It's not that simple. I didn't interact with Huo Chengkan enough to perfectly replicate him. Any expert who knew him well and possessed sharp cultivation perception would quickly see through the disguise. Zhuang Yu had been listening to their conversation. Li Wei, you said the enemy was terrifying and that going to rescue the hostages would be suicide. But why do I feel like you have no intention of leaving? What are you really planning? Li Huayi walked over to Xuanyu and placed his palm on her face. Xuanyu trembled slightly but didn't resist. While she was completely defenseless, Li Huayi used his spiritual power to render her unconscious. Watch over her. Don't let her wake up and discover the secrets of the blood mud space, Li Huayi said to Li Ling before activating the Buddha's relic, drawing both women into a microscopic world. The secret of Shaoyang Star was best kept from as many people as possible. This place was only a few dozen miles from the dock, and Li Huayi knew the enemy could arrive at any moment. After disposing of Huo Chengken's corpse, he untied a 4-meter-long skiff from the fishing boat's stern. With a single palm strike, he shattered the entire fishing boat, destroying all traces of their presence. Then, using his spiritual chi to propel the skiff, he vanished into the depths of the Bingju's. The winter sun shone warmly, and a gentle breeze rustled through the air. 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors landed on the skiff's edge, their feathered wings opening and closing, flashing with radiant light. They looked utterly relaxed and at ease. Since consuming the millennial essence herb that morning, their bodies had grown considerably, now nearly 3.5 inches long. Once they fully digested the millennial essence herb, there was a good chance they would grow to 4 inches long. At that point, their individual combat power would increase significantly. Such a sharp aura. The wind itself feels like it carries the intent of a sword. Li Huayi sensed a familiar and piercing aura approaching from 10 miles behind him. He felt as though a sharp blade was hanging over his head, a constant threat. On land, he would never have felt this so clearly, there were too many distractions. The sea was utterly empty. Even through the scent carried by the wind, one could anticipate many unseen circumstances. Splash. He stowed his small boat in the phoenix-winged moth emperor, then submerged himself completely. Chen Wenwu stood on a single log as thick as a bowl, shooting across the water like an arrow loosed from a bow. He carved a straight path through the sea's surface, as if splitting the ocean in two with a single stroke of a brush. The sword of peace rested on his back, his posture ramrod straight. His long hair danced in the wind, making him appear like an immortal descending to the mortal realm. His eyes shone brightly, piercing through illusion. His battle intent transformed into countless wisps of mist, like dragons and serpents, probing the water's surface for hidden dangers. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 3, Chu Prefecture Lantern Festival. Chapter 23, 167, Lord Qi. 23rd of Volume 3. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. What a terrifying aura. Could he have sensed me just now? After Chen Wenwu left the area, Li Huayi dared not underestimate his perception abilities. He remained submerged more than 10 meters below the surface, letting his body sink naturally. Someone of that caliber would surely be able to detect any unusual movement underwater. Don't move. Chen Wenwu knew Huo Chengken too well, and his cultivation was at the peak. Li Huayi had no confidence in using the transformation technique to deceive him. Before long, Chen Wenwu indeed returned. Boom. He raised his arm, his skin radiating blinding light, and slammed his palm against the sea surface. Spiritual qi coalesced into a giant handprint several meters long, pressing the sea into a bowl-like depression. A ring of water arched up and spread outward in violent ripples, while layers of palm force shockwaves surged toward the seabed. Li Huayi dared not release his own spiritual qi, forcing him to endure the impact with his physical body alone. Fortunately, he had already sunk more than 20 meters below the surface, so the effect was minimal. Chen Xuan and Sheng Qingyan caught up in their boat. Chen Wenwu landed on the deck with a grave expression. Sheng Qingyan stared at the churning sea, marveling at Chen Wenwu's terrifying cultivation prowess. Is that guy hiding in these waters? She asked. Chen Wenwu shook his head gently, hard to say. He's incredibly cunning. I sensed a faint presence earlier, but I'm not sure if it was just a diversion to keep me occupied here. Chen Xuan added, all 5 of Tianyi Sect and Night City's top experts died on the ship. Huo Chengken and Yuan Chao are missing, and I fear the worst. What arrogance. Daring to provoke us like that, Sheng Qingyan sneered. Chen Wenwu replied, arrogance. I think he's exceptionally clever. This was definitely intentional. He's a fascinating opponent. What do we do now? Stay here and waste time. If it's just a diversion, he might have already left, making us look foolish, Chen Xuan said. He's just a cunning rat at the 5th stage of the 5 Seas realm. He left traces when he killed the 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivators from Tianyi Sect and Night City. Next time we meet, we'll know who he is. Zhongning is our top priority. Let's head over there. If we can help, we'll atone for our mistakes. The ship sailed away, heading toward an unknown point on the sea. An hour later, Li Huayi surfaced more than 10 miles away. He retrieved his small boat from the evil camel bell and set off in pursuit of Chen Wenwu and the others. Chen Wenwu must be cultivating in the 7th sea already. His spiritual qi is so dense that a 5th stage of the 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivator like Yuan Chao is like a firefly compared to the moon in his presence. Li Huayi thought of this and took another sip from the golden spring. As he rowed, he continued to temper his bones. The setting sun cast a crimson glow across the sea, and soon the starry night sky descended. His small boat drifted like a leaf in the cosmos, sending ripples across the water. Such intense spiritual chi fluctuations. Li Wei stood up and gazed toward the left. On the horizon, beams of spiritual chi crisscrossed, and powerful winds raged, undeniably a battle between top-tier 5 seas realm experts. In another direction, a sword light slashed from the sea's surface into the sky, cleaving through the clouds. The tranquil sea erupted into towering waves. Li Wei caught the scent of blood and saw a corpse drifting toward him on the waves. He flicked a strand of spiritual chi from his fingertip, transforming it into a mist-like rope that wrapped around the body and pulled it aboard. This was a young woman wearing red soft armor. The armor was undamaged, a mid-grade spiritual artifact. But beneath it, her flesh was a bloody mess, her internal organs shattered, and more than a dozen bones broken. Li Wei held out his palm and traced a pattern on her chest, determining she had died from a single palm strike to her abdomen. A fourth stage of the 5 seas realm cultivator, killed instantly with a single blow, even through her armor. This is a token from the Xuanhuan sect. Li Wei tore off the token and clutched it tightly in his hand, then turned his gaze toward the distant horizon where several fluctuations of spiritual chi were still visible. Does Xuanhuan really have the guts to start a war just like that? Moments later, another corpse drifted toward the boat. Li Wei fished it aboard. This corpse wore monk robes, its skull crushed. Prayer beads adorned its wrist, clearly identifying it as a 5 seas realm expert from Coffin Mountain. Li Wei dared not proceed any further, fearing he would stumble into the battlefield of top-tier cultivators and suffer the same fate as these two, killed with a single palm strike. Li Wei steered his small boat away, the spiritual chi fluctuations from the battlefield behind him growing fainter. The sea surface calmed. Just as he breathed a sigh of relief, feeling safe from the conflict, the boat suddenly dipped slightly, then bobbed back up. His heart lurched. Without even turning, he knew someone had boarded his vessel. What was truly terrifying was that he hadn't sensed any spiritual chi fluctuations, air disturbances, or even heard a sound before the intruder had stepped aboard. This alone proved the person's cultivation far surpassed his own. Li Wei composed himself and turned around, only to be met with a sight that sent a chill straight to his core. Xuanhuan, clad in a long blue gown, lay half reclined at the bow. Her jade hand propped up her cheek, her back resting against the boat's edge, her eyes closed in a pose of rest. Her feet, almost touching Li Wei's shoes, were placed side by side. Li Wei knew exactly who she was. An icy chill surged through his heavenly spirit. Gripping his silver spear tightly, he desperately tried to recall whether Xuanhuan had ever met Qi Jin. If he had, what would his reaction have been? And if he hadn't, what would his reaction be then? You're nervous. Xuanhuan murmured without opening her eyes. Li Wei forced himself to calm down and chuckled. Any man would be nervous to have such a beauty, like an immortal descending to the mortal realm, suddenly appear on his ship. Tianyi Sect's Xuanhuan greets Lord Qi. You've seen me before. Xuanhuan asked. I've seen Zhang Ning and Xuanhuan. Li Wei added, in Burial Immortal Town. Heh, Tianyi Sect. I vaguely recall it. You follow Chen Wenwu, don't you? Xuanhuan's eyes remained closed. Li Wei's tone turned serious. I am the top young master of Tianyi Sect. I follow no one. Our relationship with the Sanchen Palace is purely cooperative. If I were to follow anyone, it would only be a powerhouse like Young Venerable or Lord Qi. Only the far western Ashlands are worthy of Tianyi Sect's allegiance. Xuanhuan sneered without speaking. After a moment, she said, I've been searching for Zhang Ning for 2 days. I'm exhausted. I'll borrow your ship to rest for a while. Her breathing was deep and rhythmic, constantly drawing in spiritual chi from the heavens and earth. A cold glint flashed in the depths of Li Wei's eyes as he silently considered the feasibility of pulling Qi Jin into the blood mud space. Or perhaps, summoning Zhen Hai Guanwu. But using the spiritual light flame to activate the Buddha's relic would undoubtedly alert her. The two were standing face to face, so close that with her cultivation, an attack would be instantaneous. Either he would die, or Qi Jin would. The odds of victory or death were almost even. In the end, Li Wei chose to abandon the risk. His life was far more precious to him than hers. Time passed. By midnight, the air grew increasingly cold. Snow began to fall from the sky, each flake shaped like a paper offering. They scattered across the sea and landed on the small boat. Li Wei reached out and caught one, his heart pounding in shock. He knew another formidable figure had arrived. Xuanhuan, who had been resting, felt her eyelashes flutter. She opened her eyes and smiled, finally. Amidst the falling paper offering snow, a massive ball of black Yinming Qi, dozens of meters in diameter, rolled across the sea. Within the Yinming Qi, a colossal figure was enveloped. It had 2 wings on its back, 2 horns on its head, and crimson hair. The figure walked as if on solid ground, approaching the small boat. Its body quickly shrank, transforming into a 2-meter-tall human with a bare upper torso. Its skin was indistinguishable from bronze, a unique pure immortal physique. Xuanhuan said, You're late. I've been waiting for nearly 2 days. With so many people ganging up on a Phoenix Terrace envoy, yet she still escaped. You've been searching for 2 days without finding her. Is she too powerful, or are you all too incompetent? Ming Niansheng retorted without the slightest courtesy. Xuanhuan stood up, all traces of her earlier languor vanished, replaced by the sharpness of a drawn sword. Quickly release the Yin Soul water ghosts and capture Zhang Ning. The human skin is mine, the flesh yours. I advise you to offer her to the young venerable first. Ming Niansheng produced an enormous black cosmic pouch. With a surge of spiritual qi, the pouch swelled dramatically. The mouth of the pouch opened, and a gust of chilling wind swept forth, releasing countless spirit tablets. Moments later, the entire sea surface was covered in floating spirit tablets. From each spirit tablet emerged a ghost shadow of a dead spirit, their long hair disheveled, faces deathly pale. Thousands of these spectral figures, their arms hanging limp and eyes wide open, stood densely packed on the water's surface, a truly terrifying sight. Ming Niansheng chanted an incantation. All the Yin Soul water ghosts plunged into the depths of the sea. Xuanhuan asked, "We've pinpointed her hiding within a radius of several dozen miles, at a depth of over 40 fathoms. How long will it take to search the entire area? An hour should be enough to force her out." Ming Niansheng glanced at her. "You underestimate the perception and intelligence of a Phoenix Terrace envoy. After all this time, she hasn't shown herself to you, which means she's already seen through your disguise. What do you even want with her skin? Because it's beautiful." Zhuang Yueji pirouetted gracefully on the small boat, then turned to Li Wei. "Do I look good?" "Lord Qi is as beautiful as a celestial immortal, and her inner beauty surpasses her outer beauty," Li Wei replied. Zhuang Yu smiled radiantly. "Hehe, Zhang Ning's human skin is even more beautiful. Just imagining the feather immortal's beauty makes this servant's heart flutter." Ming Niansheng's eyes gleamed, and paper money-shaped snow continued to fall from his head. He glanced at Li Wei. "Where did you find such a sycophant?" Li Wei bowed with great formality. "From the Tianyi sect, Huo Chengken. I am not flattering, every word comes from the depths of my heart." Boom. The water suddenly exploded. A spiritual artifact jade boat surged from the depths, enveloped in the 100-character scripture and a mist of spiritual qi. It radiated a blinding light as it shot toward the sky. "Where do you think you're going?" Zhuang Yu and Ming Niansheng unleashed powerful bursts of spiritual qi, pursuing the spiritual artifact jade boat. Zhuang Yu skimmed across the water's surface, her form appearing as a series of afterimages, covering a kilometer in an instant. Ming Niansheng spread his wings, his body growing several times larger. Twin horns sprouted from his head, and crimson hair a dozen meters long flowed behind him as he chased the jade boat. Li Wei steered his boat at full speed behind them, simultaneously communicating with Zhenhai Guanwu in the blood-mud space. "I can help you, but my power will be limited while hiding within Li Ling's body. Her physical form can't withstand too much force. Furthermore, Li Ling's strength is too great, it will inevitably attract unwanted attention and investigation, with unpredictable consequences. Consider carefully whether saving Zhang Ning and Yin Shi-san is worth such a high price. I still believe that one should only reveal secrets concerning their own survival when their life is truly at stake," Zhenhai Guanwu said. Li Wei pursued them for half an hour, but completely lost sight of Zhuang Yu and Ming Niansheng. Only lingering traces of their aura remained on the sea surface. "Wait. This direction isn't toward Great Marsh City. It's toward the sea where those 5 seas realm martial mystic cultivators were fighting." Li Wei immediately turned back toward the battlefield. If Zhang Ning and Yin Shi-san were trying to escape, they would have split up, not charged straight into the fray. After a moment's thought, Li Wei changed course again. He reasoned that if someone had been hiding beneath the sea in that area, they would have already left, likely heading toward Zhu City. Hiding in the depths of the ocean was less safe than hiding among the masses of people. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 3, Chu Prefecture Lantern Festival. Chapter 24, 168, Silver Spear illuminates the White Tiger. 24th of Volume 3. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei steered his small boat dozens of miles out to sea. From the distance, a high-pitched tiger roar echoed across the water, followed by the clash of battle. Waves of spiritual qi energy stirred up fierce winds and towering waves. Suppressing his aura, Li Wei cautiously advanced. Soon, he spotted 3 figures locked in a fierce battle on the sea. Zhang Ning, clad in soft armor and wielding a sword, stood atop a jagged islet reef. Above her stretched the boundless starry sky, while a pair of massive white wings, formed from her battle intent, sprouted from her back. Spiritual qi feathers, like falling snow, enveloped the entire area. She stood aloof and cold, her battle intent still fierce, but the peerless grace of her peak state was gone. Her eyes no longer shone brightly, her fingers bled, and her sword seemed on the verge of slipping from her grasp. Zhang Ning, why are you so weak? Even your battle intent has become fragmented. Has the Night Emperor Toad Venom truly penetrated your heart and meridians? Miad, a tiger-like aberrant humanoid, towered over her. His massive tiger head bore a black king character on his forehead, his body enveloped in a golden tiger shadow. This golden tiger shadow was his battle intent, stretching over 10 meters long, resembling a miniature mountain range in motion. It was exceptionally majestic, its enormous tiger eyes gleaming like two full moons in the night sky. Boom. Boom. Miad followed in the footsteps of Dao Di, walking on the sea surface with each step sending waves crashing skyward. Meanwhile, around Dao Di, 9 colossal, sacred Buddha images of varying postures stood in the heavens and earth. These were the terrifying manifestations conjured by the 9 contemplation Zen beads, a spiritual artifact powered by the 100-character scripture. These two top-tier experts from Xuanhuan ascended the islet reef from opposite directions, launching a joint attack on Zhongning in the second round of their battle. Boom. The three figures moved with lightning speed, their forms blurring as they traded blows with wide, sweeping motions. Wind and thunder roared in their ears as the islet reef shattered under their attacks. Do you think you can escape? Your escape routes are few, and we've blocked them all. You can't reach Giant Marsh Juiced City, nor can you return to Fu Prefecture. Dao Di's voice was gentle, like a Buddha's chant, yet his attacks were fierce and relentless. His pure immortal physique's jade-white skin transformed into a golden body. With a palm strike, a golden cloud resembling 5 fingers tore through the battle-intent wings formed on Zhongning's back. Though not real wings, and lacking the bloody gore of a true injury, Zhongning was still wounded, as if an arm had been severed. Miad seized the opportunity to strike out with a claw from afar, the golden tiger Dharma aspect following suit. The tiger claw radiated 1,000 beams of Buddha light, tearing apart her other wing. Her body was flung back over a dozen yards to the sea surface, blood trickling from her lips. Without a word, her eyes turned cold and sharp. She stopped suppressing the Night Emperor toad venom coursing through her veins, her sword as frosty as frost. She transformed into a fleeting shadow, a streak of light, and charged forward. Even if she died here, she would drag Coffin Mountain's 2 truths down with her. Several miles away, Li Wei activated his Nightwalker's garment to become invisible and observe the islet reef. That tiger Dharma aspect must be over 5 yards long. Miad must already be cultivating in the 7th sea ancestral field. What exactly is this Night Emperor toad venom? In the immortal realm space of Burial Immortal Town, Li Wei had witnessed Zhongning's peak strength. Even while battling Long Ting, the dragon sect inheritor, she still had enough power to suppress Miad and Dao Di, severely injuring Shi. But today, a mere ambush by Miad and Dao Di had left her completely outmatched, her combat strength severely diminished. Li Wei turned to Master Guan for answers. Zhenhai Guanwu had once said that Master Guan knew the Night Clan intimately. The name, Night Emperor Toad Venom, clearly suggested a connection to the Night Emperor and the Night Clan. Moreover, when Li Wei was cultivating the Qi tempering technique, Master Guan had also prepared to pass down the Night Emperor manual to him. The Night Emperor Toad was a poisonous beast raised by the Night Emperor. It died tens of thousands of years ago. The descendants of the Night Emperor used the residual venom from its corpse to soak a batch of spiritual artifacts. These poisonous artifacts once shone brightly in ancient times, striking fear into the hearts of martial mystic cultivators across the land. But after so many years, even if any poisonous artifacts remain, their toxicity has greatly diminished. Otherwise, that girl would have long ago turned into a pool of black blood. How could she still be so lively and able to fight? If you want to save her, Master Guan knows the solution. Do you want to save her? Do you want to learn? Li Wei stared intently at the islet reef, his brow furrowed in deep thought. He hesitated for a long moment before gently shaking his head and swiftly piloting his small boat away. Miad and Dao Di were far too powerful, he stood no chance against them in his current state. And asking Zhenhai Guanwu to intervene through Li Ling's body was far too risky. This location was not far from the battlefield between the Zhuoqiu clan and the Young Venerable. The fighting here might have already alerted them, and a large force could arrive at any moment. Whoosh! 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors burst from the insect tube and flew toward the islet reef. Li Wei stopped his small boat, utterly speechless. He unleashed his spiritual power to suppress the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors. Come back here. With your strength, the Coffin Mountain's 2 truths could crush you with a flick of their wrist. Do you really think you're immortal? The 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors resisted Li Wei's spiritual power, their voices clamoring for him to summon Zhenhai Guanwu to save Zhongning. I don't want to stand by and watch her die. I came to Bingju's with the intention of rescuing her, but the enemy is too strong, beyond my capabilities. Zhenhai Guanwu. She's far too rational to risk this. I won't force her. Li Wei shook his head and sighed. He used insect scriptures to forcibly recall the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors and suppress them within the evil camel bell. Just then, he noticed the Zhuwu beast inside the bell. Li Wei glanced at the silver spear in his hand, and a flash of inspiration struck him. He immediately plucked out the phoenix-winged moth emperor skilled in projecting the aura of a powerful warrior and adept at bluffing. You seven are truly putting me in a difficult position. But I can't ignore your feelings, after all, we're comrades who've faced life and death together. I'll save her, but from now on, you must work diligently. When I point east, you can't go west. After Zhang Ning stopped suppressing the Night Emperor Toad Venom, her combat strength surged, forcing Dao Di and Mie Di into a desperate retreat, able only to parry her attacks. Zhang Ning, you're at the end of your rope. Why persist so stubbornly? On the verge of death, you still dream of killing us. You underestimate this humble monk and Mie Di's strength. Dao Di manipulated 9 Buddhist beads, as if commanding 9 divine Buddhas, to block Zhang Ning's advance. He could sense her combat strength gradually waning, her aura growing unstable. At most, she could hold out for another dozen moves. After that, the venom would overwhelm her heart, leaving her completely paralyzed. The crimson tassels of Li K Man, the bright moon over Chu Prefecture. The silver spear pierces the white tiger, swift as a shooting star. A resonant, melodious voice echoed from the sea. The Zhuwu beast, a colossal exotic creature, its forehead shrouded in swirling spiritual chi mist, strode across the waves toward the islet reef battlefield. It raised its head and roared, baring its razor-sharp teeth, emitting a thunderous tiger's roar identical to Mie Di's. Li Wei rode on the Zhuwu's back, wielding a silver spear. He had used the disguise technique to transform into Kang Li's likeness and swallowed a petal from the core lamp. A brilliant radiance shone within him, his skin indistinguishable from a pure immortal physique. His disguise technique was only moderately proficient, he couldn't directly transform into a pure immortal physique without medicinal aid. However, Huo Chengqin had always considered Kang Li his ultimate goal. He had forged his silver spear to be nearly identical to Kang Li's, earning him the nickname, Little Kang Li, a title that now proved unexpectedly useful. Furthermore, with Kang Li's mount, the Zhuwu, beneath him, he could easily pass for the real Kang Li. After all, even Zhuo Quting, one of the top young masters of his generation who had practiced the disguise technique for years, could only manage a crude imitation. Who would suspect that someone had mastered the art to the point of changing their very bones and spirit? Human heads as wine cups, drinking the blood of barbarian bandits dry. 10 steps to kill one, leaving no trace for 1,000 miles. Soon, the Zhuwu carried Li Wei to within a mile of the islet reef. Beneath his robes, the phoenix-winged moth emperor released an aura comparable to a Dao Seed realm expert. In the night wind, his long hair billowed, his posture as steady as a mountain, exuding an overwhelming presence. The 3 figures battling on the islet reef had already stopped fighting and separated. Li Wei adopted Kang Li's arrogant demeanor, his back straight, his gaze icy and disdainful. If she couldn't kill you, do you think I might? Both Mie Di and Dao Di retreated slowly across the sea, their eyes filled with wariness as they tried to put distance between themselves and Kang Li. Seeing they didn't dare to retort, not even with a harsh word, Li Wei knew Kang Li truly had the power to kill them. Li Wei's face remained stern, his gaze fixed on the 2 men as if they were mere ants. 2 thieves will always be thieves. What's this, Mie Di, and Dao Di? Utterly defiling the Buddhist Dharma. Mie Di could no longer contain his rage. Kang Li. You're too arrogant. She's the young venerable's target. Luan Sheng Lin Yu, right. Li Wei shouted coldly, tell him to wash his neck. When Kang Li kills him, it'll be as easy as slaughtering pigs and dogs. Mie Di sneered. Seeing Zhuwu had already landed on the islet reef and was closing in on Zhang Ning, he wanted to intervene, but Dao Di held him back. Zhuwu approached Zhang Ning. Li Wei looked down on the 2 men, his gaze lingering on Mie Di, you seem unconvinced. Come, if I can't take your life within 10 moves, Kang Li will sever his own arms. Get on. The last sentence was directed at Zhang Ning. Mie Di's tiger eyes blazed with fury, his teeth grinding together. If the disparity in strength weren't so vast, he would have charged forward without hesitation. Watching Zhang Ning mount Zhuwu's back, Dao Di spoke in a gentle tone, his hands clasped together, Kang Li, you represent the Zhu Li tribe. By siding with the court officials, aren't you afraid of being condemned by the righteous army of the world? How I conduct myself is none of your concern. Are you 2 going to fight or not? If so, then attack. I'd like to see if I can kill both of you within 10 moves, Li Wei retorted. Mie Di took a deep breath and turned to Dao Di. I refuse to believe that the 2 of us working together can't withstand 10 moves from him. He's protecting Zhang Ning, which will inevitably leave him vulnerable. His combat strength will be severely diminished. Don't fall for his trap. It's a provocation. We're currently a mile away. Even if he's incredibly strong, he can't kill us from here. But if we charge forward. Dao Di shook his head calmly, his rationality unwavering. The Zhu Li tribe's first genius in 1,000 years held considerable weight. Mie Di said, I understand. We just need to stall him until Lord Qi and Lord Ming arrive. Then we'll see if he can maintain his arrogance. You 2 spineless cowards. From now on, when you see Kang Li, bow your heads and learn to be human. Li Wei snorted coldly, urging the Zhuwu to race across the water toward Giant Marsh City. Once his back was turned to Coffin Mountain's two truths, the smile vanished from Li Wei's face. His heart pounded like thunder as he took deep, silent breaths. That had been a dance on the edge of a blade. Fortunately, the Daodi was cautious, otherwise, if the Miadi had charged forward, his deception would have been instantly exposed. Behind him, Zhang Ning whispered, "You're not Kang Li." Up close, she could sense that the aura, comparable to a Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivator, wasn't emanating from Li Wei. From beneath Li Wei's robes, the phoenix-winged moth emperor poked out its tiny head and blinked at her. Zhang Ning's eyes widened in realization. Her tense nerves finally relaxed, and a bitter smile touched her pale, solemn face. Her gaze then drifted to Li Wei's broad back, and she murmured, "Thank you. But it was too risky. I'm already a dying woman." Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 3, Chu Prefecture Lantern Festival. Chapter 25 169 Detoxification. 25th of Volume 3. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. No need to thank me. They insisted on saving you. Li Wei glanced back and saw Miadi and Daodi still following a mile behind. This was a headache. If they kept following, the two would eventually grow suspicious. But if he didn't leave quickly, more enemies would arrive. Suddenly, Chen Wenwu's sword intent erupted from the night sky, its sharpness piercing the darkness from 10 miles away. Damn. The Coffin Mountain's two truths don't know Kang Li well and can be easily deceived. But Chen Wenwu has known Kang Li since childhood. Once he gets close, he'll likely notice something amiss. What worried Li Wei even more was that once Chen Wenwu arrived, the three top experts might gain the confidence to attack. If he couldn't intimidate them, trouble would be inevitable. Li Wei's mind raced. He patted Zuwu's neck, glared at the night sky, and roared, "Chen Wenwu, I've finally found you. Tonight is your death day." A tiger's roar and killing intent erupted simultaneously as he charged toward Chen Wenwu's approaching direction. Chen Wenwu had just reached a point 6 or 7 miles away when he saw a figure on Zuwu's back, resembling Kang Li, wielding a silver spear and radiating murderous intent. A chill ran down his spine. Ever since the San Chen Palace and the Zhu Li clan had completely severed ties in Burial Immortal Town, the person Chen Wenwu feared most was Kang Li. He knew Kang Li's strength too well, facing him meant certain death. Moreover, Chen Wenwu had killed many 5C's realm martial mystic cultivators of the Zhu Li clan in Burial Immortal Town, and Kang Li now hated him to the core. Don't think you're invincible. There are other inheritor-level experts in Bingju's tonight. If you dare, come after me. Chen Wenwu spat out this threat and turned to flee, activating the spirit mist concealment technique. His body dissolved into a cloud of mist, vanishing into the night at lightning speed. Li Wei pursued for a short distance before changing direction, whispering, "How much strength do you have left? Can you still fight?" Zhang Ning's lips were black, and the pure immortal physique skin exposed by her armor was crisscrossed with dark veins. She was already drowsy, her consciousness fading. She murmured weakly, "I was poisoned by the Night Emperor Toad venom in the Nether Realm of the Dead and have been suppressing it with spiritual chi ever since. But these past few days, with constant battles, I haven't been able to fully suppress it. I fear I won't make it through tonight. Li Wei, while I still have my last breath, I can hold off Coffin Mountain's two truths for a moment. You should escape now. I have no more words to say about our bond today. I'm deeply moved. Don't be moved. Come on, we're running out of time," Li Wei said. Zhang Ning mustered a bit of strength, a dazed look in her eyes. Before she could react, Li Wei turned and grabbed her belt, lifting her into his arms. He didn't forget to flash a cold smile at Coffin Mountain's two truths, who were still a mile behind them. Zhang Ning sat facing him, her hair long since fallen loose during the battle. Her exquisite face was devoid of vitality, resembling that of a gravely ill person on the brink of death, yet radiating a fragile beauty. "First, take off your armor. I have a way to detoxify you," Li Wei said. Zhang Ning, both skeptical and hopeful, raised her arms. Tapping the metal vambraces on her forearms, a flash of light enveloped her. The soft armor covering her body quickly retracted into the vambraces. The clothing beneath, soaked through with thick, black poison blood, was revealed. The poison wound was on her back. Li Wei gently touched it, finding the flesh severely decayed. Her survival was entirely due to her high cultivation, which had allowed her to maintain a protective barrier of spiritual chi. Li Wei gasped, his confidence completely shattered. He pressed two fingers to her chest, releasing spiritual chi to probe her heart. The poison hasn't corroded her heart. There might still be a chance. He fed her an immortal haze-tainted herb and gave her a mouthful of golden spring water. "If I truly save you tonight, you'll owe me 10 times the value of these herbs and golden springs." Li Wei instructed, "Circulate your spiritual chi, channeling the poison toward your meridian veins, then reverse the flow toward the spring. But if the Night Emperor Toad venom corrupts the meridian veins, my cultivation will be ruined in no time. Are you sure it won't affect them? No martial mystic cultivator would gamble with their cultivation. That's why Zhang Ning had been using spiritual qi to protect her meridian veins these past few days. Do you have any other choice besides trusting me now? Li Wei asked. Zhang Ning was decisive. She immediately began practicing her breathing technique, following his instructions to use all her spiritual veins to channel the Night Emperor toad poison. Li Wei took out a spring-breaking needle, holding it between his fingers. He grasped her palm and pierced the spring in the center of her palm. Next came the spring on the other hand, both feet, the Zongdan, 100 Wisdoms, Wind Mansion, and Ancestral Field. 9 spring acupoints, all pierced, each leaving a tiny blood spot. Master Guan's method involved having Kang Li suck out the Night Emperor toad poison. Li Wei wasn't blind to the old man's intentions. Zhang Ning was clearly the type to take things extremely seriously. Getting involved with her would be nothing but trouble. Since they were enemies, there was no need to delve too deeply. That way, they could strike without hesitation when they met on the battlefield. Li Wei released 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, which landed on Zhang Ning's body at 7 acupoints. For some unknown reason, the 7 tiny moths were extremely fond of Zhang Ning. Completely unfazed by the Night Emperor toad venom, they helped her suck out the poison that was being transported toward the spring, one mouthful at a time. In the rear, Miadi said, Kang Li seems to be helping Zhang Ning detoxify. It's a futile effort. In my estimation, Zhang Ning is too deeply poisoned to be saved by medicine or spiritual qi alone. Perhaps even the second palace master of the Lingxiao Palace would be hard-pressed to turn the tide, Dao Di replied. Miadi said, something feels off. Why is Kang Li heading back to Giant Marsh City? Isn't he arrogant and fearless, even in the face of the young venerable? Do you truly believe him to be foolish? He's merely arrogant, not unintelligent. Would he really bring an injured Zhang Ning to clash with the young venerable? Dao Di paused before adding, Lord Qi must have realized he's been tricked and should be returning soon. Time passed. The Night Emperor toad poison in Zhang Ning's body was quickly purged. The immortal haze-tainted herbs revitalized her flesh, and the golden spring was absorbed into her blood, circulating throughout her body. Even the wound on her back was enveloped in golden light and immortal haze, the pain almost completely gone. Her skin and eyes rapidly regained their luster, shedding their sickly pallor. So, I was wrong from the start, Zhang Ning murmured, her eyes closed, her voice gaining strength. To expel the Night Emperor toad poison, it wasn't about physical endurance but about the meridian veins. How did you know? Instead of pondering that, you should be thinking about how much you'll pay me for my services, Li Wei said, glancing back. Behind them, Coffin Mountain's 2 troops had repeatedly surged forward, closing the distance. They had clearly sensed something amiss and were itching to strike. Li Wei frowned, realizing that Zhang Ning had barely any spiritual qi left. Even after purging the poison, her body remained extremely weak and would require time to recover. What rank is your spiritual qi? He asked. 6th rank. They're still planning to risk it. They won't let us return to Giant Marsh City. You go first. The poison in my body is now diluted enough for me to control. Dealing with those 2 won't be difficult. Zhang Ning stopped purging the poison and soared into the air like a wisp of wind, hovering several dozen feet above the sea. Whoosh! Activating her soft armor once more, she stood proudly in midair, sword in hand, her back wings of light spreading wide. A majestic palace and platform hovered above her head, her battle technique intent reaching its peak. With a horizontal slash, sword qi erupted, accompanied by a flurry of feathers. The arc of light and force stretched over 100 feet wide, forcing Miadi and Dao Di, who were charging across the sea, to retreat. The Night Emperor toad poison in my body is gone. Are you 2 here to throw your lives away? Zhang Ning's face was cold and elegant, her aura matching her peak condition. Li Wei knew she was bluffing. Raising his silver spear, he declared, then let's each take one. Miadi is mine. We'll see who kills their opponent first. Miadi and Dao Di turned and fled, their bodies surging with spiritual qi as they plunged into the sea, hoping to escape underwater. Zhang Ning landed back on Zuwu's back, her expression grim. She gazed toward a point in the night sky. She's here. This bluff might have scared off Chen Wenwu and the Coffin Mountain's 2 troops, but it won't work on her. This is a battle I must face alone. It has nothing to do with you. Leave quickly. Li Wei saw the blue-robed figure approaching on a small boat across the sea. It was Lord Qi, wearing Xuanhuan's skin. In your current state, you're no match for her, Li Wei said. Zhang Ning said, do you think you can escape? Fleeing without a fight guarantees death. Fighting, however, might offer a sliver of hope. The arrival of Lord Qi immediately drew Miadi and Dao Di, who had been hiding underwater, back to the surface. They flanked her, forming a fan-shaped encirclement. Lord Qi smiled, her voice as sweet as Xuanhuan's. Feather immortal, not only is your beauty unparalleled, but this soft armor perfectly accentuates your figure. I'm quite pleased. Zhang Ning had long seen through Xuanhuan's disguise, realizing that Xuanhuan must have already died at Lord Qi's hand. Her usually cold, emotionless eyes now flickered with a complex mix of killing intent, hatred, and a hint of affection. Never before had she felt such a resolute desire to kill someone. I can lend you a treasure temporarily. But can I trust you? Li Wei finally spoke. The word, trust, carried immense weight at this moment. Zhang Ning hesitated slightly. To others, I can only say I'll do my best. But for you, I'll make an exception. You can place your utmost trust in me. After a moment, she added, I won't use it for free. I'll pay. Li Wei handed her the ghost banner, his heart filled with anticipation. He wondered how powerful the ghost shadow within it would become when activated by her 6th level spiritual qi. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 3, Chu Prefecture Lantern Festival. Chapter 26 170 The Fishing Boat, Half Moon. 26th of Volume 3. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Martial mystic cultivators in the 5 Seas realm who cultivate 6th level spiritual qi can achieve a level of spiritual qi purity comparable to those who have just entered the Dao Seed realm. The ghost banner was white and cold to the touch. When Zhang Ning injected her 6th level spiritual qi into it, it unfurled in the sea breeze, snapping and crackling. The strange patterns on its surface writhed like a map of the underworld, its lines flowing and shifting. Whoosh! Nether mist surged forth like dozens of torrential floods, pitch black and chilling. It swirled around her as she flew, then rapidly spread across the entire sea. Miadi and Dao Di exchanged glances, both sensing an extraordinary aura emanating from Zhang Ning. The banner in her hand didn't seem like something from the mortal realm, even Feather Immortal seemed to have transformed into a ghost mother. With Qi Jin present, they had nothing to fear. Even peak Zhang Ning might not be a match for him. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two men charged forward, their bodies enveloped in the golden light of a tiger and the radiant form of a Buddha. They unleashed their extraordinary battle techniques. The golden tiger's claws tore through the nether mist, pinpointing Zhang Ning's true location. The 5 Zhang tall Buddha body pointed a finger, its tip glowing like a burning golden pillar. Within the Buddha body, Dao Di's form appeared cast in gold as he leapt from the sea, his finger and body moving in perfect unison. Boom! A 10 Zhang tall ghost general strode out of the nether mist with overwhelming dominance. Its armor and war spear had nearly fully materialized, giving them a metallic sheen. Its head resembled that of a ram, with piercingly bright eyes. A ball of green fire cloud burned within its abdomen. With just a single step forward, the resulting shockwave caused ripples to surge through the battle-intent projections of Dao Di and Mie Di. The 5 Zhang long golden tiger and the 5 Zhang tall Buddha body projection, already massive and radiating destructive energy, were instantly dwarfed by the nethermist ghost general. The ghost general threw a punch, tearing through the battle-intent projections of Mie Di and Dao Di as if shattering 2 golden bubbles. The force of the blow, accompanied by green flames, landed directly on them. PFF'd. Dao Di's arm shattered, flesh and bone flying outward. Protected by the 9 contemplation Zen beads and the spiritual artifact monk's robe, his physical body remained intact, but he was sent flying backward, his body tumbling head over heels across the coastal waters. It's dueling cold fire. It has dueling cold fire within it. The Mie Di was struck by the green flames within the fist wind, his body erupting into flames. Numerous holes appeared in his burning flesh, and like the Dao Di, he was sent flying backward into the sea, his mouth releasing a blood-curdling scream. The nethermist ghost general's punch had churned up a wave over 2 meters high, which surged toward Qi Jin. As the small boat beneath his feet was pushed to the crest of the wave, Qi Jin shot upward like an arrow piercing the sky, leaping straight into the air. He appeared 10 meters above the water's surface, his eyes level with the nethermist ghost general's. Zhang Ning was secretly shocked by the ghost banner's terrifying power. Her confidence and resolve transformed into boundless fighting spirit as she charged forward. The nethermist ghost general strode ahead of her, his 10-meter-long war spear held aloft. The spear's shaft resembled a sea-stabilizing pillar, while its blade was as vast as a heavenly blade. When swung, it felt like a million Jin weapon crashing down, its pressure overwhelming. Qi Jin's gaze remained steady, undeterred by the nethermist ghost general's imposing aura. He clasped his hands together, and a surge of spiritual qi and countless bright sparks of fire erupted, filling the surrounding sky and earth. Eternal illumination divine moon mirror. His unique battle intent manifested, resembling a crimson divine moon rising from the sea. 5 meters in diameter, it radiated an unparalleled brilliance. But this wasn't the divine moon, it was a mirror capable of reflecting the nethermist war general's attacks. Li Wei was stunned. 2 moons hung over the sea, one in the sky, the other reflected in the water. Lord Qi's power was immense, undoubtedly at the level of a successor. Shatter, crack. Qi Jin's battle intent was shattered by a massive war spear, emitting a crisp sound like a mirror cracking. The divine moon mirror battle technique intent could replicate an opponent's battle techniques and power, returning their own methods against them. But the nethermist war general, using the power of the Dao Seed realm, forcibly broke through it, tearing apart all law. A mark appeared on Qi Jin's snow-white neck, and sparks of fire spilled from it. She touched the mark with her finger, let out a deeply resentful grunt, and turned to flee. Her feet danced lightly across the waves like a celestial maiden soaring over the sea. Today's defeat is due to a weapon. Once I reclaim the divine moon mirror, we shall fight again. Li Wei knew that Zhang Ning had been determined to fight Qi Jin to the death because of Xuanhuan. He sent a mental message. Xuanhuan is still alive. Don't risk your life. You're too weak right now. Killing her doesn't have to be today. I must retrieve Xuanhuan's eyes. Tonight, the Bing Jews will be drenched in blood and gore, all because of me. I cannot afford to miss this battle. Zhang Ning landed on the Nethermist Ghost General's shoulder, her white feather wings fluttering around her delicate form. She plucked a single feather from the swirling mass and flicked it with her slender fingertip. The feather landed atop Li Wei's head. Return to Luan Shore first. I will find you using this feather. And I need to borrow this flag again. Her white feather wings unfurled behind her, tearing through the air as she pursued Qi Jin. Just before disappearing over the horizon, she glanced back at the man standing on the sea below. Li Wei plucked the feather from his hair. It was soft and delicate, unlike something condensed from spiritual qi. It felt like a genuine down feather. He restored Zuwu to its kitten-sized form and fed it a precious medicine. The continuous running across the sea had nearly drained its spiritual qi. Not only Zuwu, but Li Wei himself was completely depleted. He relied solely on constant breathing and the 10 springs to replenish his reserves. Combat at sea, whether propelling a boat or walking on waves, consumed an enormous amount of energy. Only top-tier cultivators who had cultivated the 6th Sea Wind Mansion and 7th Sea Ancestral Field could sustain such exertion with relative ease. Li Wei's first Qi C was 10 cubic units, and his second was 63 cubic units. At the same cultivation level, his Qi C capacity far surpassed that of 9 Springs Supremes and other outstanding successors. However, once they cultivated their 4th C, their Qi C capacity would instantly increase tenfold or more. A typical 9 Springs Supreme's 4th C would have a capacity of at least 1,000 cubic units. The 5th C was even larger. These were the 2 main Cs. Because of this vast difference, the power of each stage within the 5 Cs realm varied drastically. It was extremely difficult for 9 Springs Supremes to cross cultivation levels and defeat opponents above their own. In contrast, the 6th Sea Wind Mansion and 7th Sea Ancestral Field were quite small during the surging Spring Realm, with negligible spiritual Qi storage capacity. However, they were living, innate worlds. Through constant cultivation, they could grow larger and potentially surpass even the 2 main Cs. Top-tier Heavens Chosen would dedicate considerable time to cultivating and expanding these Cs, some even lingering for years to lay the most solid foundation for their future. Zhang Ning's confidence in pursuing Qi Jin in her weakened state stemmed not only from the Ghost Banner but also, crucially, from her ancestral field, which had already reached over 10,000 cubic units, providing her with ample spiritual Qi. Li Wei searched the surrounding waters but couldn't find the bodies of Dao Di and Mie Di. After being severely wounded and falling into the sea, they never resurfaced. The Bing Jews was teeming with experts, so Li Wei decided to leave and head towards the shore. Yin Shi-san had escaped in the spiritual jade boat powered by the 100-character scripture. Once he entered the battlefield area, Yin Ju and Yin Shi would naturally come to his rescue. Even if Li Wei rushed there now, he wouldn't be able to help. Back on shore, Li Wei didn't go to Giant Marsh City. Instead, he sat down on a seaside mountain islet, took the still unconscious Xuanhuan out, and prepared to hand her over to Zhang Ning later. Then, he began to meditate and recover his energy. All night long, the waves crashed against the mountain below. As dawn broke, the sky filled with rosy clouds, and the red sun pierced through the winter mist. Zhang Ning, clad in soft armor, returned from the shimmering sea. Her long hair swayed in the wind, and the air around her was thick with the scent of blood. When she reached the summit of the islet and saw Xuanhuan sitting beside Li Wei, her tired eyes lit up with a gentle, watery glow. Last night, when Li Wei told her Xuanhuan was still alive, she hadn't believed him completely, thinking it was a kind lie. Zhang Ning walked over. I couldn't do it. Xuanhuan, I'll find you the most brilliant and beautiful eyes in the world. Miss. It's you, it's really you. Hearing Zhang Ning's voice, Xuanhuan was overcome with joy. She quickly stood up and embraced her. Li Wei remained in meditation but opened his eyes. They whispered for a moment, then walked toward Li Wei, one in front and the other following, a master and her attendant. Zhang Ning stood tall and proud, an indomitable spirit radiating from her. She took out the ghost banner and handed it to him. I understand now why you asked if I was trustworthy. This treasure is truly extraordinary, of incalculable value. Even immortal realm giants would be interested. Li Wei stood up and took back the ghost banner. You said you'd pay. Pay up. A smile flickered across Zhang Ning's determined face. She shook her head. Not yet. I knew you were just making empty promises, Li Wei said. I will definitely give it to you. Zhang Ning stared at him, considering for a moment before saying, hiding underwater, the enemy's search area is shrinking. Once thousands of water ghostian soldiers join the fray, exposure is only a matter of time. The only way to escape is to split into two groups. Your senior brother Chen Chuan's escape toward the battlefield was the only chance for survival. The Zhuoqiu clan and the Zhu Li tribe would save him. By helping me divert the enemy's attention, he gave me a chance to escape as well. Under the circumstances, it was the only strategy. Chen Chuan was Yin Shisan's alias in the imperial court. Li Waiyi was surprised. The arrogance and coldness usually present in Zhang Ning seemed to have faded. He chuckled, "Are you explaining yourself to me?" Zhang Ning replied, "I want to give you an explanation. I don't want some misunderstanding to cost me your friendship." Friendship. Li Waiyi repeated softly. Zhuang Yu chimed in enthusiastically, "My miss has never considered any man a friend before. You're the only one so far. I don't want to be friends with someone from the imperial court. Let's just talk about money." Li Waiyi said. Zhuang Yu clenched her fists in anger, her face puffing up slightly. Zhang Ning frowned slightly, then nodded. "I understand. But Li Waiyi, do you know that you're actually a hypocrite? Zhuang Yu told me it was you who saved her, bought the core lamp, and helped her heal and regrow her skin. Last night, you risked your life to save me, yet you pushed all the credit onto those 7 little guys. You've been like this since we met. You're clearly compassionate and loyal, yet you pretend to be purely self-serving. Why? Does it shame you to be a moral, humane person who can stand tall and also feel compassion for the world? If people in this world are ashamed to be good, afraid of criticism, of baseless suspicion and ridicule, then this world is sick. I have an ideal, to heal this chaotic world and mend twisted hearts. Will you join me on this path?" Her eyes were filled with anticipation. Li Waiyi said earnestly, "You've invited me 3 times, which shows your sincerity. I'll tell you a few truths from my heart. Standing in your camp, I can understand all your pursuits and aspirations. But the tide of the world cannot be reversed. What are we, mere youngsters, in the face of this surging flood? Even the transcendent and the giants can only drift along with the current. With your innate talent and background, if you had a century, perhaps you could contend with this tide. But do you have that much time? Of the 28 prefectures in the empire, does the court still control even 10? The empire is crumbling. I advise you to withdraw while you still can. No, never mind. I'm speaking nonsense. The Zhang clan is already bound to Lingxiao Palace, sharing its fate. There's no escape for you. As for saving or killing, good or evil, right or wrong, I have my own scale to weigh such matters. The difference between us is that I know my limits. I'm more aware of what I can and cannot achieve." Zhang Ning replied, "In your eyes, I'm just a pampered scion of a noble clan, an idealistic fool who doesn't know her limits. But the tide of the world you speak of hinges on the Grand Palace Master's whim. If she were to return to normal and resume her duties, the entire situation would immediately be reversed." Zhang Ning saw that Li Waiyi was a practical man who wasn't interested in her grand pronouncements. "Stay with me for half a month," she said. Li Waiyi replied. Zhang Ning continued, "I'm severely injured and need a place to recover. But Zhuang Yu has lost her sight and can't even take care of herself, let alone me. Giant Marsh City isn't safe. A barbarian bandit chieftain must be stationed there. You're probably planning to go to Chu Prefecture City for next year's Xuanhuan Festival Hidden Dragon Lantern Festival, right? But right now, the Zhuoqiu clan has mobilized the entire southern border's 7 prefectures and is battling various forces, led by the far western Ashlands, from the Bingjus to the mainland. Going to Chu Prefecture City now would be extremely dangerous. I suspect the young masters and mistresses of the Imperial Court, the Eastern Territory, the Western Territory, and the Northern Territory will all be there to join the fun. With your current cultivation, it's better to stay with me for half a month than to risk such danger. By then, things should have calmed down, and we can go to Chu Prefecture City together." Zhuang Yu said, "I truly can't take care of Miss. I can pay you. Name your price. Are you really that rich? You already owe me a considerable sum." After a pause, Li Waiyi said, "There's no need to pay me to stay. It wouldn't look good if word got out. Besides, I do need to enter closed-door cultivation for a while. Let's find a secluded place to hide for half a month." Li Waiyi understood perfectly well that Zhang Ning wanted to keep him around for half a month, perhaps to change his thinking. Or perhaps she simply didn't want him to get involved in the conflict among the 5 Seas realm's top experts, believing he was too fond of adventure and meddling in others' affairs, making the journey extremely dangerous. Li Waiyi purchased a medium-sized fishing boat turned in, and the 3 of them settled down by the Bingjus. Half a month swiftly passed. It had snowed all night. The next morning, Li Waiyi emerged from his cabin and stretched on the bow, taking a deep breath of the crisp, cold air. Gazing into the distance, the sea was a vast expanse of white, the snow and mist blurring the world into a hazy dreamscape. The trees and withered grass along the shore were draped in silver, and the snow on the ground was nearly half a foot deep. Swish! 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors fluttered out joyfully, dancing like butterflies above the water's surface. Over the past half-month, they had not only fully digested the millennial essence herb but had also consumed a zaihe flower each, their bodies now nearly 5 inches long. Their combat strength had grown exponentially, each capable of challenging a 5th stage 5 seas realm martial mystic cultivator like Yuan Chao. With another dose of a cold attribute millennial essence herb, they should quickly reach 5 inches, achieving a true breakthrough in their cultivation. Behind him, light footsteps approached. Zhang Ning emerged in simple fishing attire, her long, black hair coiled into a bun, her face bare of makeup. Even wrapped in rags, her ethereal beauty was breathtaking. Her essence, qi, and spirit had fully recovered, and her cultivation had advanced further. She walked to Li Weiyi's side, gazing at the snow-swept sea. I've received word that a transcendent being has arrived at Ancestral Realm Taoli Peach and Plum Mountain of the Zuoqiu clan from the far western ashlands. The Four Extremes Ape King has also reached the provincial city. Transcendent beings from the eastern, western, and northern territories will be coming to pay their respects to the immortal masters of the Due Calamity Crossing Temple. Zuoqiu Ting and the young venerable stopped fighting 8 days ago and entered the provincial city together. In truth, Chu Prefecture City is no longer safe since the troublemakers appeared. The clash at Bingju's was merely a prelude, the Hidden Dragon Lantern Festival will be the true battleground. The competition for the Immortality Pill, Dragon Seed, and Dragon Bone will likely involve the young venerable and his followers. If you're simply trying to escape the chaos of Li Prefecture, you could go to the Zhang family of Fu Prefecture. I'll write a letter for you, they'll treat you as a distinguished guest and provide ample cultivation resources. Over the past half-month, Li Weiyi's strength had surged, giving him much more confidence. Do you think my cultivation is too low to participate in the Hidden Dragon Lantern Festival? That it would be too dangerous. Zhang Ning fell silent for a moment before saying, are you going to Fu Prefecture? I truly hope you will. Why can't I go to Chu Prefecture City? Li Weiyi countered. Very well. Since everyone only asks questions and offers no answers, there's no point in continuing this conversation. Zhang Ning said, I'm leaving for Chu Prefecture City today, but I may have to break my promise. I can't travel with you. Thank you for your companionship these past 2 weeks. You were right, maintaining distance from those in the imperial court is perhaps the wisest course of action. She turned and walked towards the shore at the stern of the ship, where Xuanhuan had already packed their belongings. Li Weiyi felt as though he had been toyed with, but he quickly realized the truth. Without turning to see her off, he asked, are you also here to stir up trouble? Has the imperial court assigned you a mission? As Zhang Ning stepped onto the shore, preparing to leave, she said, I don't want you to go to Chu Prefecture City. This isn't a grand gathering. I can only say so much. Her footprints faded into the snow as she and Xuanhuan disappeared into the blizzard. Li Weiyi was left alone on the ship, the world suddenly feeling desolate and cold. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.